Talk Zone presents the Geek Speak Radio Show with your hosts, Henry and Romo. Your top spot for everything entertainment and pop culture, including TV, movies, comics, casting news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Henry and Romo.
Hello, we're here. Welcome to Thursday and the Geek Speak Radio Show. Hey, Romo.
Hey, what's going on?
We're here. We're back. We're live. Hi, watch. See, that's me hitting the back of Romo's head. So, like I said, we got inspired by the pumpkin patch yesterday, and we're going to do all Halloween. My favorite month, our favorite holiday. It seems to be everybody's holiday that we have on the air, starting with Chloe Moretz when she was on with us last Friday. She likes Halloween. Matter of fact, it was kind of cool her saying that for her, acting is like Halloween all year long.
Yeah.
And it's true, because she does get to be, hit girl and everything else that she does. Today, we will talk to something that's really going to scare Romo. The paranormal, the occult.
Really? Well, thank God I'll be going outside the door.
No, I would suggest you stay here, everybody stay here, because this is going to be a very interesting interview. On the phone, we have Alyne Pustiano. She is an expert on the occult and the paranormal. Hi, welcome to the show, first of all. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Of course, we're going to have you on this month, because this is the month forward, of course. So first of all, let's start with having you tell everybody about your background and how you became involved in the paranormal and the occult.
Oh, God, that's a long story. It is a life story, basically. We had some problems a long time ago with my mom and the ignorant experimentation that she did in psychic fooling around with the Ouija board, divination, and basically it just affected our family, and it affected me. It interested me so much that since then, and this has been for over 25 years, I've just studied it and, wanted to learn more about what we were dealing with, what was afflicting us, what was attacking us. And it kind of put me on the path that I am today, which is researching the paranormal, writing about the paranormal, and insofar as dealing with teams or dealing with investigations, I usually perform the service of an occult analyst. In other words, if there is a ritual involved, or if there is ritual magic or demons or et cetera, then that's what I would do. I'm in the extreme haunt end of team investigating.
And I'm not sure, maybe you know the statistics, but isn't the occult, isn't that more prevalent with teenagers than with adults?
Yes. There is a vast amount of experimentation going on, and oddly enough, it's with teenage boys, not specifically teenage girls. Between the ages of about 13 and 17, 75% of boys in that age range have, pursued some magical interest, and it's usually, unfortunately, the darker side of magic. They usually want to conjure up a demon. They want to follow in the footsteps of Aleister Crowley. They want to see if the demons from H.P. Lovecraft are real, and so that's the kind of magic that they're doing. And in a lot of cases, when we go on to investigations or places that are polluted by that energy, it forms a real danger not only for the people that are living in the environment, but for investigators coming into work in the environment to analyze the haunting. And, we could basically be affected by it, bring it home, and it could start affecting you in your own life. So, yeah, a lot of teenagers, a lot of teenage boys, they, for some reason, go through that phase of being attracted to magic.
For you, was there one specific incident that told you have this gift or the ability to understand the paranormal more than any other person?
Well, I don't know that there's one specific incident. There's a buildup of incidences over a lifetime. When I lived when I was a teenager, living at home, my mother was into activities basically that she shouldn't have been into, but it was the first wave of paranormal. You see, the wave that we have now going on with ghost hunters and et cetera is just like a second wave. Originally, it was Hans Fulzer and Ed Warren, Brad Steiger, and that group who were the pioneers of the paranormal. And my mother kind of got caught up in the first wave of that and took it a little bit beyond, into actual experimentation, Persian sorcery and stuff like that. I'm not to say that she was cloistered in a room doing this, but basically a lot of books and stuff like that. And just the experiences of the hauntings that resulted her experimentation with it that I didn't even know was really going on, just started to, pique my interest, like, what is this and is it real? So it became, because I was living it became an objective reality to me. There were entities in the room. There were, my covers were being pulled off of me. My feet were being grabbed. There really was something under my bed. And so, that kind of just, a long period of continued experiences like that begin to make you wonder, there's something to it. So it sought me and made me go seek it out, basically.
People usually try to stay away from that, but if for whatever reason they want to magnify the gift, we'll call it, is there a way for them to get in touch with demons besides, playing with Ouija boards and all that thing? But is there a way for them to get in touch with them?
Yes, there is, and it should be absolutely avoided. One of the things that I do, I speak at different conventions and different events. And one of my favorite speeches or my favorite panels to give is supernatural dangers of the paranormal. And I take it from the perspective of this whole new ghost hunting phenomena with all these, this proliferation of teams, et cetera. Yes, there are ways that you can conjure demons. No, you should not do it. It is,
right.
And I have a problem with people like, just you'll see on TV, somebody coming in and assessing a haunting and immediately saying, oh, it's bad, so it's demonic. Well, no, it's not, because the kind of demons that they're referring to, and these are the named demons, the ones that quote unquote fell with Lucifer, they're very hard. And it takes a lot of life's work. Sometimes it takes years just to work up to one ritual that will actually manifest a demon in physical reality. It is not that easy to do. However, the etheric realm around us, the spiritual realm, is full of evolved human discarnates that are basically indistinguishable from devils. They were evil in life. They're more evil after death. They refuse to pass on through the death process. And so they're lingering around there, sort of like in the outlaw country, and they're in there with other ghosts, discarnates, shadow entities, elementals. These are the beings that are peopling the world, the sphere that is close to our sphere. And so this is why experimentation with the Ouija board, with pendulum divination, with scrying with mirrors is really not to be played with. If you have not educated yourself enough about these things, especially to be avoided, is the Ouija board. But let's say tarot card divination or pendulum or whatever. If you have not put yourself on a path and educated yourself with it, and you're just, basically doing it as a party thing, completely avoid it, because you're liable to let something in that's not going to let go of you for years and may pass on through you to your family and stay as long as it possibly can, because it does not want to leave the physical world.
You were actually having a discussion on the show here a few days ago about Ouija boards, and what exactly what do we open the door to when someone does play with the Ouija board?
Well, the Ouija board is similar to, say, if you go out fishing and you're on a sport fishing vessel. I like to call it etheric trolling, and this is why. Say you're going out and you're fishing for, I don't know, amberjack. Down here we're, fishing for tarpon or something. So you bait your lines for that. But if you're on a good fishing boat, you're setting out trolling lines, and those lines are put out way deep in the water, and you never know what might hit it. You might get a shark. You might get some, a marlin. You might get whatever. You might get a ray. But, you also might get jaws, okay? And this is similar to what is happening with the Ouija board. You're basically trolling around out in the outlaw country of the etheric, and you never know what you're going to get on your hook. Now, when you look at the Ouija board, everyone is familiar with the setup of the Ouija board, and even with variations, there's always numbers, letters, et cetera. And there is a theory that the numbers, the letters, all have numeric value, all add up to different numeric values. There is the theory in Judaic mysticism of the value of letters and numbers, and they all have their own code, basically. And I kind of subscribe to the theory that if you notice when you sit down with the Ouija board, you will see it, if your energy is right and it is starting to work, you'll see it move around on its own before it actually begins to communicate with you. And this, in my opinion, is it opening itself up. It has found its own way to open itself up. So if you look at it, say you're looking at it sitting on a table, think about it from the other side. Think of if you were under it, like if you had it on a glass table and you could see through it. this is what the entities are doing. They're basically, if you have a guarded door with a keypad for an alarm system, you're going to press the alarm and the door is going to open. Well, they are opening up that portal in order to talk to you, and they're using your energy on the other side to do it. So once that portal is open, you may be trying to contact Uncle Joe, and the likelihood that you're going to get your real Uncle Joe is very slim to begin with, and then you're going to get anything that wants to come through that portal. If you're out, for instance, on a boat in the middle of the night and you shoot up a flare, you're going to bring attention to yourself. And this is kind of what it does in the spirit realm. You're shooting off a flare in the dark, and so all the spirits that are nearby, well-intentioned, ill-intentioned, other people's spirits that they have brought with them will suddenly notice that, hey, let's go over and see. Just like we rubberneck when there's a wreck on the highway, they're still curious on the other side. So, and this is what you're drawing to you. And I personally, you asked personal experiences, and I had a Ouija board when I was 6, 7 years old, and we moved at that time. We moved to a place that was 7 miles away, and I saw the Ouija board put in the trash. My mother didn't want to bring it to the new house. All of us were already packed in the cars. There was nobody at the new house. We all went to the new house, opened up, ran around, opened the back closet, and the Ouija board was already there. Not in the box. The Ouija board and the planchette had beat us to the house, basically, so it was already in the closet. And my mom took it out on the front lawn, broke it up, and immediately had a priest come and bless the house, but the Ouija board transported itself. I know that sounds hard to believe, but no one brought it because every one of our family members was with us, and my dad unlocked the doors for us to go in, and that Ouija board was in the back closet of our house, and that house was and is to this day demonically haunted.
Yeah, bad news indeed. We're talking to Alyne Pustiano. She is an expert on the occult and the paranormal phenomena. We'll continue the conversation, and Alyne does call home to New Orleans, one of the most famously haunted places here in America. We'll get some stories about that. And when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Before we do, let me remind everybody that on GeekSpeakRadioShow.com, I do have a link to Alyne's website. You can go on there, read her stories and everything else. So we'll continue the conversation in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
The Geek Speak Radio Show will be right back.
Attention all bases, attention all bases. This is
the Geek Speak Radio Show on TalkZone.com.
And we're back on the Geek Speak Radio Show. Kind of scared Roma with that new breaker there. It is Halloween after all.
Yeah, you did.
So again, we're talking to Alyne Pustiano. She is an expert on the occult and the paranormal. So let me continue the conversation with you, Alyne, by asking you, why is it that people fear the dark side so much, if you will?
Well, I don't know anybody. I know a lot of people who are afraid of the good side, actually. They're afraid, I think, because of dogma, experiences in life, and a lot of times it's guilt. Because if you believe in God, if you believe in a good side, then there is a good indication that there's a bad side. And a lot of people are taught from very early on that the demons are there to, tempt you, to get you to do something, to go against God, etc. And so there is a fear. There should be a healthy fear of demons, particularly the demons that we're talking about, which I call the hypercosmic beings, or the archons, that are basically equivalent to the archangels and to God, who are powerful enough, and thankfully who are kept separate from us. They are not aware of our existence unless we go looking for them through ritual and through ceremonial magic. There's a good reason to be afraid of them, because they do not, on the physical plane, they will wreak havoc in every way possible because they're not a part of this physical plane. It isn't their fault that if you summon a demon and your life gets screwed up from there on, it's not the demon's fault. It's not meant to exist on this physical plane. Another reason that people might be afraid is that demons are the renderers of justice. In other words, people wonder, well, how could God let such horrible things exist? If there is a God, how could God let such horrible things exist? Well, my theory, and a theory supported in the Western magical tradition, is that they do deal out payment and justice. In other words, everybody's heard about this recent horrible trial with the woman that was murdered, the man who witnessed his family murdered, and it's kind of it's horrible, but it's comforting to know that as soon as they're put to death, if they get the death penalty, that there are demons on the other side waiting. And for certain individuals who waste life and have many opportunities through reincarnation to live decent lives and don't, the demons wait on the other side, and they are there, and that is their job. That is the balance of the universe. That is their job, to take that spirit out of the circulation, basically, and they will torment for an eternity someone who wastes the gift of life and just continues to do so. So that's their purpose. And so why anybody would want to perform a ritual and summon one of these beings into reality is simply beyond me. I have been there when rituals have been performed. In fact, I was thinking during the break about, another experience in my youth when I know that I was outside of a protective circle when a demon was basically manifested, and a lot of, generational things have happened because of that through the years. But I don't personally indulge in that. Knowing a thing and doing a thing are two different things entirely, and I warn against it. There is a reason to fear them. There's also a reason to fear human beings. I mean, mankind is... The devils that we know are basically mankind. We're bad enough as we are, so why should we go out and seek demons? So there is there should be an abject fear of it. But you have more to fear basically from a discarnate human who is preying on your life force and refuses to move on, and basically has attached himself, say, to you or to someone. They can drive an individual into obsession, possession, suicide, addictions. Down here in New Orleans, we have Bourbon Street, and during Katrina, when the city was empty, we have a lot. I mean, we're built on years and years and years of ghosts, but particularly Bourbon Street and the addictions that it feeds, such as drugs and drinking, sexual addictions, etc. There was an absolute shadow that laid over New Orleans in the days after Katrina and it was palpable. It sucked up all the light, and it was because the spirits that usually stay in those places to feed vicariously off of the individuals that are indulging themselves there were not being fed. And so we had an actual, almost like a shadow mass. And it was not, everybody couldn't see it, but those who are sensitive or who are aware of that, several people remarked on, the dead are not being fed like they usually are. The people who practice voodoo and usually keep the altars and feed the dead, the tourists who go through the cemetery, they were not getting that energy. And so for a while, the city, though that part, the French Quarter of the city had not flooded, it was one of the most uncomfortable parts of the city to actually go to because of that energy.
How can somebody tell when they're extra sensitive to the paranormal, or if it's that extra sensitivity, or is it just reacting to a scary story or something? How can you tell the difference?
It varies by individuals. Sometimes it takes years and years to develop empathy or actual psychic ability. Usually psychic ability, or genuine psychic ability, will be demonstrated very early in life. This is predicting death, seeing the dead, being able to see that other reality that exists. But then there are others who through, like, for example, me, through my work in writing and in researching stories and in studying the occult, I've began a little bit to develop more of an empathy. I have never claimed to be psychic. I will read cards and tell you I'm an intuitive, but lately it has been developing into more of an empathetic feeling. The stories that I do are basically, I guess the best word to say is channeled. And so, sometimes it takes years, and I'm not a young chicken, and it takes years sometimes to actually express this. In others, it's immediately present. A lot of times it's actually come down through families, and so it's inherited. Basically, how do you tell if you're just scared or you're feeling something? It's hard to say. If you get a group of people together and you're going to go to Waverly Hills Sanitarium and you're going to run around and be scared, you're expecting to be scared. And so the experiences that you may have are subjective, and they're your experiences. They're going to be personal experiences. Whereas, for instance, that building, that particular place, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It is, in and of itself, one of the most haunted places in America, and it would be haunted whether people went there or not. But a genuine scare, as opposed to, actually being sensitive to it, is if you're feeling an emotional connection, if you're feeling, you're hearing names, you're picking up, and you can educate yourself. You can meditate. You can work in the occult. You can work in a particular system to develop your skills a little bit more.
And we're talking with Alyne Pustiano. She is an author and expert on the paranormal and the occult. And as I mentioned, she calls New Orleans home. New Orleans, one of the most famously haunted places in America. Now, Alyne, besides New Orleans, are there any other places that are obvious haunted hotspots?
Yes. All over America. You've got prisons. You've got insane asylums. And, of course, with this whole new wave of ghost hunting, this is exactly what they're looking for. But the house that I lived in was plagued by demonic hauntings, and it was a suburban 3-bedroom, typical 1970s house. So it doesn't have to be ominous to be haunted. It's the feeling, that you get. In America, I brought up Waverly Hills, and I will say that without anyone ever visiting the place, if it just sat there alone, it would still be one of the most haunted places because of the amount of suffering, death, and dying that has gone on there. Particularly people who have investigated have had experiences, in particular with shadow entities, which are the amalgamation of these negative emotions, and not just anger or not just death, grief, despondency, melancholy. In a place where it's so intense, shadow entities naturally form and evolve from just the base elemental energy of the people that know they're going in there, and they may never come out and die in there. There are also the actual elementals that you can see, which is base energy basically taking on sort of a physical form, and then larvae, which appear as orbs in pictures that feed on the energy of the people that are coming in, but also the decomposing energy of the entire building, basically the crumbling structure and everything that's decomposing there. And you'll find them frequently in a cemetery. We have a cemetery here called Holt Cemetery. It's not a building. It's an open cemetery, but it's rather a pauper style. It's a poor man's cemetery. And as soon as you cross into the gate, you know that the energy is there. It's just palpable. I have a lot of pictures on my Facebook about it, and I think you can link to it from my website. But you can look up also Holt Cemetery. It's been there forever. A lot of voodoo has been practiced there. It's notorious for magic, and you can simply feel the energy. So you don't basically have to go to the Tower of London. Sometimes the house 2 houses down from you, is built on something or has been polluted by ignorant experimentation with magic or other psychic things, and, you've got a haunted atmosphere there. You've got a really bad haunting.
We're speaking with Alyne Pustiano. She is an expert on the occult and the paranormal, and her website is on geekspeakradioshow.com. You can go on there. Has the link to her Facebook, as she mentioned. Before I do let you go, Alyne, tell us about the book that you have written about.
I'm published mostly on the web, but I have a couple of books that I'm in, and it's with expert Brad Steiger, who is the godfather of the paranormal. And the 2 books are called Real Zombies, The Living Dead, and Creatures of the Apocalypse, which you should like, and Real Monsters, Gruesome Critters, and Beasts from the Dark Side. I've also just become a regular contributing writer to the Hoodoo and Conjure Quarterly, which you can also find online. And I just wanted to mention an event coming up. Since you guys are fandom guys, we have Fandemonium as part of the Red Stick Animation Festival in Baton Rouge. It's November 10th through 13th, and you can link to it from my site. It's a complete con, sci-fi, comic book fandom, in addition to the Red Stick Festival that's held every year. And I'll also be doing the paranormal. I'll be speaking there as well as planning the paranormal for BabelCon, which is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of April next year. So hopefully, we've got pictures of scared Darth Vader holding zombie babies, and so maybe some fans would like to come out there and check it out. We don't just do paranormal; it's all sci-fi. It's a multi-genre convention. So hopefully, you guys will come out.
Yeah, we'll do our best to go out there. And again, the links are on geekspeakradioshow.com. Alyne's website is on there. Alyne, thanks a lot for coming on the show and talking to us for a few minutes.
Thank you. Y'all have a great Halloween.
Thanks, you too. Alyne Pustiano. Rome, you scared?
Good. I wasn't scared. I was really intrigued.
He had his headphones off. That's
I was intrigued. I really learned a lot. I mean, everyone that's listening, do not play with Ouija boards. Have you guys ever been to Waverly Hills or heard about it?
Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't been there, but I've heard about it before.
It sounded like it's really, really haunted, so I'm really intrigued in about it.
Like Alyne said, there are a lot of places all over America that are really haunted. I mean, the Civil War battlegrounds, of course, for obvious reasons, are really haunted. You see things, the temperature drops even in the middle of summer in the sweltering heat. You need an overcoat when you step in there because we didn't talk about it. And we should have Alyne on again for a whole hour again. That's one of the biggest hints that something is there when the temperature drops.
Wow.
We weren't on yesterday, like I said, but the day before we left, I did promise you guys an interview with a very magical person from a very magical franchise that's coming up in November. It has nothing to do with Halloween, but I think you guys know who I'm talking about,
right?
Right?
Who you're talking about.
Mr. Harry Potter. You guys know him better as Daniel Radcliffe. We'll hear from him in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
The Geek Speak Radio Show will be right back.